This is a standing scooter I made all out of aluminum that comes to 88.2 volts, 24 amp hour. I have it set at only 13 kilowatts peak, but it can peak out at 20 kilowatts. This project was designed around the batteries. These are lithium ion 8 amp hour batteries that can produce 200 amps continuous each cell. Very, very high power. Let's back up for a second. I had many different designs. The problem was the batteries were so big. Therefore, I put the motor on top of the deck to get the wheelbase the right distance that I wanted to get the performance that was needed. So this is what I came up with. I test each cell and I make sure the resting voltage stays for about a month, and I mark on which cell lasts the number it's supposed to be. With that said, we are making bus bars out of 1/4 inch aluminum and 1/8 inch aluminum depending on where they need to connect. I'm insulating the ends of the bus bar tabs on each cell just for a protection layer. This is a homemade port that I made out of aluminum and welded it together. I actually didn't use it. Here I am soldering on the balance leads to the bus bars. As you can see, the bus bars are pretty darn big. The frame is made out of all of aluminum. Pretty much the whole scooter is. Sanded, grinded, whatever you want to call it, welded. Here's the swing arm assembly. Here's the top plate. Here I am fixing the front end, which is one of the hardest parts to get it lined right. These front forks were not used in the final version, just so you guys know. Now we are prepping the aluminum. You always preheat aluminum. Always. Making sure all the suspension is level. These are just tack welds. Here we are just getting to the welds actually after we tacked everything. It is very common for aluminum to have that dark residue on the welds. That is part of aluminum welding. A lot of it has to do with not enough heat, not enough amps. In this case, I didn't grind anything clean. I just kind of showed you the raw weld. Here's a drill press of getting a support beam grinded in, ready to go. I originally intended for this front fork assembly to be detachable, but as soon as I did my first ride, I realized that it's not really reasonable with aluminum, and it's gonna have some problems of bending and breaking versus steel. So I then adjusted for that and made it not detachable. My lovely wife is helping me measure. The greatness of tack welding comes right here, where you could just leave your hand and everything sticks. I love it. These are engine mounts. I printed on Photoshop to make alignment of where I need to cut the holes for the engine mounting plates. Soon as the engine is mounted, I then will weld it once I know it's in place. Preheat always first. I ran out of 4043 welding wire for aluminum. Had to go to 5056, whatever, and it smokes and splatters everywhere. Here is the top plate to cover everything. And again, this is very thin metal, so you got to really get your volts and amps perfectly matched up for this, and completely sanded. Again, very minimal amperage and voltage here, mostly technique. And here you go, and you can paint it. It actually worked really good. And here we are painting everything that we can. So keep that in mind. There's some things we need to mask out. So this is just getting everything painted. A simple color black. Here we are cutting out the charging ports. And I made dual charging ports on purpose in case you wanted to plug two chargers in. You could charge this twice as fast. And these batteries are very capable of handling very high amperage charge cycles. This is a 21S 3P battery, which comes to an 88.2 volts, 24 amp hour. Now, is this thing massive or what? Here we go. The only way to pop this sucker into the channel is to do some rinky-dinky thing. And as you can tell, I'm wet because we're playing with my kids. I have wet shorts. You know, it's not probably the proper way to do this, but we did it anyway. And here we go. Here is the way to test the charger to make sure it's charging the cells. And the cool thing, it goes right to my phone, and we can monitor pretty much every cell, every activity, every little feature you want on my phone, which is pretty much incredible, and that is why I chose this BMS. BMS is called Battery Management System, and that is exactly what it does. It just lets you control the battery, so very protective there. We are arranging the wires to fit into what we need to fit them into, and this part was not easy, you know, getting them into all the holes, and it seems easy from the video, but it wasn't. So here we are assembling the front end, and again, this suspension that you are seeing is for Pee Wee Herman. They're not for adults, so I did change this out roughly right after this video, and I will have not too much video on the improvements, but I made a hell of a good fork and front end. No more Pee Wee Herman stuff. Here's the motor coming right in. Oh man, the best part of the video. Putting the motor in, getting every connection connected. The motor is your best friend, ladies and gentlemen. When you get this sucker in and you bolt him in, you know this is what's driving you up these hills, which I'm about to show you. The hills I'm about to show you this thing climbs is remarkable. It's a dirt bike of a 125cc 4-stroke dirt bike would be able to do. In that statement, this is pretty darn amazing for 14-inch wheels. Pretty much like a go-kart. How do you get traction? How do you do this? Well, it does it. You will see. This part is the chain going on. Tell you the truth, one of the hardest parts, because nothing fits perfectly. A lot of work involved, but it's done. Controller comes in, as you can see, nice airflow, beautiful design. I could think of a couple different design issues that could change, but we have to base this design off of the battery, which is the whole deck pretty much. So here we go with the front brake. Very powerful front brake here. Got your rotor. My wife's coming in. She's asking about like how much I owe you for your good looks. I charge her about $20 every month. She doesn't pay me those though, but she comes out with the cash, but she never gives them to me. I mean, pretty good looking. And there's my kid. Okay, so here's the reason I showed this part is to show how the chain is tightened. I think it's pretty crucial to show because I made my own chain tensioner. As you can see in this video, I'm not sure if you can, but you tighten a bolt, kind of like a mini bike. So I guess you could sell it right from here. Here you go. So like a mini bike. The motorcycle, dirt bike are actually the opposite. They push it. This is pulling it. So this was easier for my design, and then same on the other side. And there you go. So I hope you could tell what I was doing, but that's pretty much it on that. And then here we go with the sanding. Make sure the grip tape, you know, acetone, all that good stuff. And here we go. Really important part right here. You know, this was a lot of fun, so I'm glad you guys stay tuned. And my kids like it, my wife likes it, so thank you guys so much. Now the programming is something that will take some time. I studied a lot of the programming. I just do that because I'm a nut. So I did know how to kind of, now it's not 100% hard, but sometimes it will be hard, and it's glitchy. Let's just say it's a glitchy system. It's China stuff. But it does work pretty well once you get it done working right. Like once you get it dialed in, I guess I should say. So here we are setting the parameters, the sport mode, setting all the parameters, the voltage and everything. This case is the original case I showed you, just a protective layer. And the forks, which we really didn't show me making, which I kind of want to know where that footage is, and I don't know. These are pretty amazing forks, but it just shows you here. So in this circumstances, I just hope you realize how good these forks are. I mean, look at what I mean by forks. I'm talking about the triple trees, the stuff I had to weld and make them fit the width of the wheel. Yeah, there's a lot of work involved in that, and that took about a weekend. It took about a weekend. Here we are, just getting it back to the new frame, which I had some problems when I told you, and now we're fixing those problems, and then I make a support beam and all that stuff you already saw. So this is kind of like backtracking, but at least you kind of know that there are some upgraded forks here. And then the next scene is going to be me driving this thing, and I hope you guys enjoy it, okay? Because it gets pretty crazy, and I want you to realize the terrains I'm going in are no joke. These are terrains that are dirt bike terrains that are going to push them to limit. And here we go. So the crazy thing about electric is the takeoff. Instant torque. It's really exhilarating. So I'm leaving from the house, going to the street, getting on the main little road here. And by the way, the thing accelerates like, once you go electric, guys, let me just tell you, you never go back. I know that saying from, I don't know, multiple people saying things, but when you go electric, you say, why go gas? Let me just tell you that. It has so much torque, so much lift, it's so much power. Now, the things you could make up for is horsepower, right? Because kilowatts, right? So you can always make that up with a bigger motor, a bigger battery. I mean, a lot of different ways. But the torque, gas cannot compete with torque. There's no way to compete with it. Now, here, check this out. Here's torque, right? Boom, you just go. It just goes. So a dirt bike, you have to clutch that. You have to clutch that. And I'm not saying this thing's like a dirt bike, but I think you understand what I'm saying. Now, this is me just kind of cruising around. Getting to feel with the drone, by the way, because I'm filming only myself. There's no one else filming me. Making sure that drone is nice and neat. Now the hill climbing part is the fun part, and really it's about the control of what you could do with the traction. So you don't need to go too fast, it's about controlling the traction. And here you can kind of see me doing that here. If you ever rode electric skateboard off-road, then you would know what I'm talking about. It's not like a dirt bike where you can just go balls out. This is just to show you perspective of the hills coming, and I hope you see them in the distance, in the horizon. And here I am going up the hill at a good pace, just to maintain the hill speed, just to get up it. If you go any faster, it could break things and lose control. So it's not like a dirt bike, but for a scooter, this is how you get up it. And the torque is just phenomenal. It's really just amazing. You could just give it gas or amps, I should say, and you go. Now really it comes to traction. So the traction part is really up to the wheel diameter and the weight and a lot of different parameters, but in this case we're working with 14 inches, and what I learned is to lower the pressure of the tire a little bit, the back one, and that helps me get some more traction to the wheel, because it has so much torque that it will spin out the tire a lot. It's just basically a go-kart. You gotta look at it if you look at it right here. So with that said, it's fine. It takes more skill and less just whip it RPM, whip it throttle. You can't really do that because it just will spin the tire out. So you have to have more control with it. You have to listen to the back tire, and when it spins out, you have to let off a little bit and get more traction and go. once you get it down, it is a joy to ride. It's just being able to stand and not sit on something is remarkable. I love it. I don't like the word scooter. I wouldn't call this a scooter. I don't know another name than this. If you guys could help me, but I don't like it. But anyway, it's a lot of fun once you get used to standing. This hill coming up is the peak of the mountain, which is Edison's Tower. I don't know if you guys could see that. And it is very, very, honestly, it's the most scariest hill I've ever climbed. And even with a dirt bike, I would be scared. And this scooter, as you could see, went up this thing. I mean, holy moly. I don't have any words for that right there. In the next build, this is going to be a fat tire dual drive hub motor scooter that is pretty incredible. 60 amp hour battery. Stay tuned to see that.